is a Friday. We kind of float along through the week here. We've been posting on Mondays, but today's Friday, so when it comes along. How are you feeling today?
We're fine. Of course, I just realized I left my phone in the other room and it'll probably go off during the show, but that's okay.
That's
Part of the
perfectly
fun of- That's
perfectly
perfectly
fine.
okay.
Are you
This is
going?
my little friend.
Okay, I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have
With the flashing lights, that's great.
yes, I have
Outstanding.
about
Yeah.
maybe 40 Halloween fascinators, but I have to say that Sparky the Wonder Spider is one of my favorites.
So
Um,
you
Hallow-
you are a treater, are you? You're going to be out there?
no, I'm just gonna go to Jean Couture and buy a box of 40 bags of chips, and tell myself that I'm actually buying them for the treater, and then slowly eat them by myself.
Oh, okay. All right.
I never
There-
buy them
there-
before for that
There's
reason.
a plan there. Okay, very good. Okay,
Well, the problem is that when you buy Halloween candy, it especially on a day like today, um,
yeah,
there's not
rainy
a
and
lot of There's not. It's
yep.
raining. And it's kind of crappy, and so therefore,
But
So
you'll be ready
I'll
should
be ready
someone
for
come
it.
by.
I'll have the light on.
Okay.
I'll have the Halloween wreath on the door. So and then the
Yep.
kids that do show up, that get me because I want to get rid of this stuff and not have it in the house. Get 10 bags. They just like, here you go. I know your mom will love me.
Well, that's it. Here. My spouse is Halloween crazy. Of course, there's a 4.5-year-old in the menage here, so
Yes.
he gets to play along. And she bought 4 boxes of those chip bags, which
Where do
and
you
she's
live?
we're on the North Shore here, so
Okay.
it might be snowing by the time the
Yes.
evening comes by. But anyway, and she's got she goes in all out for all decorations and black and orange balloons and all sorts of things and little plastic skull lights and the whole thing. And I
Cool.
am dressed in my costume, in my camouflage. What I do is I hide behind a bush and I say things like, "Don't invest in Bitcoin," or "Don't blame your parents for everything."
That's right. Leave
Don't believe.
home. You're 30.
That's right. Don't believe everything the Kardashians say. That kind of stuff. So I try since the UNICEF boxes have seemed to have gone by the wayside. I'm at least trying to help young people somehow.
Actually,
So-
what I do too is I also have, it's kind of evil, but I also have a bowl of toothbrushes. And I show that first.
Okay. All right. So
You know.
there is a. Well, I think you and I are maybe on the same track there somewhere.
Yeah, but
Very
then
good.
but then they all kind of go, oh, and I go, no, I'm only kidding. And then to those who show up, the 14, 15-year-olds with no costume, just thrusting their bags, I'm like, okay, I need you to recite the 23rd Psalm or some Shakespeare.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
baby, you gotta dance for it, honey.
Okay. I thought I was being rather forward, but all right. I like that.
I
It's,
spent my entire life being forward.
You taught me a new word too. I was reading, of course. These are the Eramelinda notes, of course, that come
Yes.
through, all perfectly typed, and these are mine as usual, like 4
Yes,
words.
I know, that's right.
Samhain, which is spelled Samhain. Samhain.
Yes, well, Halloween was invented in Ireland a long, long time ago. It is when, like in a lot of cultures, that celebrate the darkness. We just had, is it Diwali or Diwali? Anyway, my apologies to my friends if I mispronounced that. But it's celebrating that it's getting darker, so we need to add light. But in many cultures, the ancient Celts, the ancient Druids believe that as this is the death of the season, that the veil between the living and the dead becomes very, very thin. So they used to carve turnips, which I think that's hard. Turnips are hard to carve.
The
But
the
that
Irish
was,
the Irish did, yes.
of course, they did them
Okay.
amazing. They
Yeah.
could do it with a potato. Apologies.
Okay. I was going to say. All right.
Yes,
Mhm.
but they did that, and that was to scare away the evil spirits, and so is dressing up. But other cultures celebrate it too. My favorite is Dios de Muertos, the 3-day festival of the dead. that they have in Mexico,
Yes.
starting with today. Big parades, people dressing up, buying candy skulls to eat, lots of skeleton masks and, skeletons in every form possible. And then tomorrow would be All Souls Day, where people go and celebrate the departed. And then on the Day of the Dead itself, which is the second, which is my birthday, send your gifts to, on the second, is when they go to the family, the graveyard, and it's beautiful. There's picnics, there's lots of tequila, and I don't like that idea. But yes, getting back, that is a very, very old tradition, and I'd like to thank the Irish for that.
Samhain. All right. Well, that's something I'm going to stick with. Very nice. So again, to get back just to recap with you, dental health, Bible verses, and potato chips essentially is what you're looking at. So
that is what I'm looking at. Yeah.
Good. All right.
And also, if you're going to show up for free stuff, you got to work for it.
Okay.
Unless you're a 2-year-old that's dressed like an adorable little cow, and then you get whatever you want.
Okay. What else is on your mind here? I have the list before me. Please pick as you would.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna zip down.
Okay, we've got pumpkin spice coffee.
That is a very interesting thing. I mean, pumpkin spice is a fall favorite, and the interesting thing is that there are two camps. It seems there are those that love it and those that hate it. I am in the latter. Yes, I cannot get enough of it. When I used to go down to Burlington, I used to stock up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you a lover or a hater? Lover.
I'm a lover. I love it.
Oh my goodness, I'm at the other end of the spectrum. Okay, I will spout thereafter, but please continue.
But to me, it's that, I don't know, it's just, there's something about it. It's comforting. Well, Halloween is my favorite holiday of the year. I do love it. It's a guilt-free holiday. Dress up as you'd like to be, get candy, and you don't have to feel guilty about anything. But pumpkin spice, to me, including the candles and all that, I don't know, there's just something very comforting about it. And I used to drive down to Burlington a lot, and I could buy the syrup because they sell the pumpkin. And I live at Tim Hortons during the season, getting the pumpkin spice lattes, the pumpkin spice muffins, the pumpkin spice donuts. I just love it. It's comforting. It's delicious.
But
it's weird, though.
It's a psychological thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a psychological thing.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
and you, why do you not like it?
No, I shouldn't be. It's not that cut and dried. It's just that to me it brings visions of flavored coffees, and I don't like flavored coffees or iced coffees. I'm an espresso drinker. I'm a bit of an espresso snob, so I drink my espresso straight up or with a bit of milk. I have an espresso machine.
Do you have the machine? Do you have the
Oh, yes. Grinder, and I buy coffee beans from local suppliers, and that's my dada these days. I don't drink much in the way of alcohol or anything else these days, so that's it. It's my espresso. So that's why it kind of veers into that Venn diagram of my coffee life. So I don't. I'm not terribly keen on flavored drinks. But then again, as you say, it goes beyond that. It's, there's the smell of pumpkin pie and all these things, and autumn is probably my favorite season anyway. So I understand that part of it. I get it.
I like fall except for the fact that it's followed by winter. If fall could go directly into spring, that would be fabulous.
That would be great. And then we could have Christmas in July. Then the stores wouldn't be so crowded.
I saw my first Christmas commercial on, I can't remember if it was on YouTube or television, but I always mark the date every year, and it was on September the 13th for some American Christmas store.
I haven't seen one yet, but it's coming. It's coming. It's going to be, I think you and I talked about this last week. It's going to be a long winter. With the transit strikes and with the physicians and the medical specialists and the unions that are upset, and of course the STM is starting their month-long strike tomorrow, the 1st of November. Don't forget we go back in time this weekend too.
That's right. I'm going to have
into Sunday.
Circadian rhythm jet lag for about a month now.
Does it affect you?
It does. It's just it just I have that sort of, I call it jet lag, but that weird sort of jet laggy feeling hangover. You know, when you've just spent 3 hours waiting to board your plane, and then 7 hours on the plane, and then
Yeah.
3 hours to get off the
Okay.
plane, and then take a 3 hour bus ride to London, and you just feel burnt. That's what I feel. I feel burnt for about a week. And I was listening to Dr. Christopher Labos this morning on CJD, and he was talking about how this one and the spring one are actually quite dangerous because there are a lot of accidents because people are thrown off. Now, maybe there are some people, but I definitely feel that.
Wow. I don't recall having felt anything one way or the other. Always up very early here, and it's usually dark when I get up around 4:30. So it doesn't really change much in my little world. But that's
I tell
interesting.
you
Lots
though,
of,
if you're an overnight DJ, I remember when I was working as a
oh,
DJ on a
well,
show.
yeah,
Oh,
I've done that. Of course, we've both done that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We we know what it's like. The fall one's brutal because you get an extra hour because now you're
Mm.
working from 11 to 6, which becomes 8 hours on air as opposed to. But then on spring, it's terrific. But yes, our to our fellow former and existing DJs out there, we feel you're paid for tonight.
Anyway, here's hoping that they get their act together for the transit again.
Oh,
I was looking at the REM broke down again this morning for a couple of hours in full rush hour. People have lost. I have my heart goes out to the technicians and the engineers and the people who are trying to get this thing to work properly. But
mm,
um, my goodness, it's supposed to be up and running up this way next week. Or is it next week? The 17th, I think. Where are we
right.
today? 31st. Yeah, another couple of weeks. So here's hoping it all comes together because it's going to be a rough winter for folks who have to get to work and all the rest of it. So uh,
I don't understand the decision made by our labor tribunal to allow that to happen because that is an essential service.
yeah,
You know, for people who cannot afford cars, and for people who have to go to work, and for people who have to go to school, for people who have to go to medical appointments. I have 3 a week right now, dealing when I go to the brain trauma center for that, for my accident last year. And it's just like, it's what I don't understand is I want people to be paid fairly, but allowing them to go on strike, if I'm correct, I don't think nurses are allowed to go on strike. And I consider buses as an essential service. Public transport is that. It transports the public. And it's like we're held hostage. And I want to the transit workers, I know that's not an easy job, having to deal with the public all day long, which in itself is a challenge. But the issue here is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but we as taxpayers also pay for that, right?
mhm.
We pay our fare, but also the public dollar goes into that. But you're making it look like the people who decide that, the government, who we pay to, are the decision makers. But it's we suffer. Like, those the ministers or the counselors or whoever sort of, makes these choices to allow us to get in trouble like this, they don't take transport as often as we do. They're not doing the bus, metro, 15-minute walk, wait for another bus
No,
thing.
no, no. And
Yeah.
it's a line item. It's not. I was speaking with someone. I'll get back to this fellow a little bit later too. I was speaking with someone from the Communauté Métropolitaine de Montréal this week. Bright guy by the name of Maël Bureau-Blouin, who's
Hmm.
a governmental affairs guy. And we're so far behind the eight ball here now in terms of transit. We're talking billions of dollars in shortfall per year, and they should be putting. And again, it's about priorities. And you look at the Legault government, and what are their priorities at this stage? My goodness, nothing to do with the life of the average person in this area. I mean, Montreal is represents 50% of the GNP of Quebec. So um, oh my goodness,
Well, you know what? There has been a movement. I've seen it online, on social media, where people are suggesting to the transit workers, you know what? Let people ride for free. Don't strike, but let everybody ride for free and let them see the revenue loss.
That's interesting
and
idea.
I like that idea. I think that's a great idea.
Mm.
Every day, let everybody ride for free all day long. Don't collect any money. Because I think sometimes that not all government workers, I'm not going to paint everybody with the same brush, but those who think it's an okay thing to allow the strike to go ahead, I think that taking money out of the coffers is a great way to protest.
Interesting.
Because that's the only thing they understand. It's either that or people who make these decisions would have their salaries suspended as long as the strike goes on.
But then again, it's not their money, right? It's the public purse, so we all lose out at the end. But and let me connect with another thing on your list here. You're talking about downtown Montreal economic development, and I'll finish up on what I was saying about this person I met from the CMM. He was talking about immigration too. They just put out a brief on immigration, and the Communauté Métropolitaine de Montréal would like to see minimum 60,000 immigration admissions per year in Quebec. Why? Because they say that the population of Montreal will begin to decrease in the coming years if we don't allow more people in here to shore up the economy. Now, I realize there are trade-offs there too. People say, but what about housing? What about services? We can't provide all those things. There's a lot of work to be done there, and we're heading to hell in a handbag here if we don't fix these things soon.
Well, I go back to something that I mentioned during our podcast last week, but I think we, as voters and employers of our government, have to stick to them like glue to the bottom of your Nikes. As I said before, I constantly am in contact with the government saying, and not insulting, not, what is that? I'm not spreading the canard. I don't even know where that comes from, spreading the duck. But I'm writing ideas and solutions and trying to be involved because I feel like it's very easy to complain. But then why not just spend that same amount of time bitching and coming up with ideas that will stitch those problems together?
And voting day, Sunday, you're going to be out there voting? Or have you voted already?
Déjà voté.
Déjà voté, me too. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
And it was, I felt really good about it. It was interesting, though, because when I went out that morning, there were a lot of seniors like myself. I hate that term. There has to be a better word than seniors. I like to consider myself.
No, it's too bad. I remember the day I was at Jean Coutu, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, you're old enough to get the discount." And I thought, my God, it's come to that now.
For me, it was the day someone actually got up and offered me the seat on the bus. I just thought, like,
all right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the little things that get you.
It's the little things. But it was interesting because the seniors were out in full force. We were all chatting in line. It was a beautiful day. I voted in Rosemont-Petite-Patrie. It was held at District 38's voting, I think it's Saint-Jean-de-Boeuf Elementary School. But it was interesting. When I was there, there weren't very many families and there weren't a lot of young people. And I thought, oh my, folks, we have to step up for this because last election was 38.32, which was percent that showed up to vote. And that's how you end up with this because our inertia, what's the word I'm looking for that begins with the letter A? I blame it on my concussion.
Our insouciance.
Yes.
That's not A. It's I. But anyway.
No, but
or apathy. Apathy is what you're thinking of. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, dictionary.
Thank you.
But it's our apathy that gets us this.
And and it gets us other things like Trump. It gets us other things like others. And again, this gets back to me whispering at children, stop blaming the rest of the world for your ills. Grow a pair and get something done.
Yeah,
anyway.
But it feels good to vote. It always does. It was interesting, though. I always think I'm under some dark star because every time I go to vote, like I got there and I showed up and I proudly showed my registration and the identification. And the guy goes, "You're not on the list." And I was like, And he said, no, well, he said, the list for your district is not here.
Oh,
and
good.
And of course I behaved like a grumpy old person. I was like, but I was here at 11. I was here at, like, it started at 12. I said, I was here at 11. J'étais ici une demi-heure tôt pour être premier en ligne. Et maintenant, il faut que, but anyway, they eventually found it. That piece of paper was out. So I did get to vote, and I had a great sense of satisfaction. I just hope that...
And these folks are just casual workers too, right? They're just doing their best to push the paper and get things done. It's not their fault.
And there were a lot of young people I noticed this year working on the desks, and they're great. And bless them, they are also the backbone of democracy. Allow me to wax poetic.
Okay, let's talk about more fun stuff here. You sent me a couple of videos this week.
Yes.
Of projects that are these projects you are working on, or had been working on, or have been working on?
I had been working on them. I was working with a wonderful team, which includes Sander West, which is Peter Sander, who, by the way, is the original animation artist for the original Beatles series.
Oh, yes.
Terrific animator, great artist, and the incredible producer, Diane West. And they used to work at Cinar and Crayons before that went also terribly pear-shaped.
Yes.
The corruption scandal that happened, not with the workers there, but the two people, Ron Weinberg and Michelle, can't remember her last name, who there was some fancy financial footwork there. But anyway, Peter came up with this idea because he worked with the Beatles. By the way, true story. He actually directed the Beatles in a Kellogg's cornflakes commercial in the 60s.
Wow.
In England. Apparently they charged, they got $500. This was just at the very beginning of their fame. So I'd love to find that.
Wow.
He came up with this idea for this series, and he's wonderful. And Diane as well, too. Along with Andy Grin, if you've ever worked at CNR doing voiceover work. No. Wonderful voice talent. His son, Shane Grin, musician.
Now, we should point out that you have been doing voice acting for many years now, where you do character voices, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes, I've worked for CNR for many years, worked on Arthur. Okay. My character was called Prunella. She was the older sister of Rubella, one of the main characters, and she was into tarot cards and Halloween and witchcraft, just like me. So it was typecasting. Okay,
so that's something that you are a performer, an actress. When I do voiceover, I just do things for insurance companies and things like that. So, and I was the voice of a bank somewhere in Illinois many years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, your call is important to us. Really? Who is this asshole?
Well,
did you want to watch the part of the video, the Beatles video here?
Sure. Well, this was a proposal for something called Beetle People, and it was interesting because what it was basically the storyline in 30 seconds was taking all the prominent characters from Beatles songs and doing this animated series, which would start a little bit like Call the Midwife, the British series, after World War II in the impoverished East End, and doing a storyline with all these characters. And this particular video, with the incredible talents of Giles Sander, who's Peter's son with Excalibur Animation, is a pitch for this series. So we can play a little bit of that.
Okay, let me just cue this up here.
And this has never been seen.
Go.
Oh.
Flying like a spaceship across the galaxy.
And that's you. That's your voice there.
And then we blow the bugger up. Now what we really need here is a great, big, bloody parade.
Got it. And here comes Bungalow Bill and the Fool on the Hill, and Lady Madonna, Polythene Pam, the Walrus, Rocky Raccoon, Sergeant Pepper.
People can actually read, you know?
Or fuck off. Nowhere, man.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll end on that one. Who's that? I recognize that voice. Who is
Mark Trafford.
Okay, I thought so. Okay.
Mark Trafford, and that he is one of the deepest voices. For not surprisingly, he did a lot of big truck commercials for many years.
Okay, so the characters' names are things like Nowhere Man and
Yes.
Sweet Loretta, and I'm just looking at them on the screen here.
Mean Mr. Mustard, Nature Boy.
Penny Lane, of course.
Yep.
It's brilliant. You know, I never thought of these words as coming together as names. I understand. So the idea is to give these characters a backstory of some sort and have them interact. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they all have a backstory. As I said, it takes place in the late 50s, early 60s. Of course, because a lot of the influence of the Beatles was growing up in the very impoverished post-war England, where things weren't so great, and so this was the brilliant mind of Mr. Sander, who is still doing work. And when we were working on that, if anybody would like to have the video, we're happy to send it to you. Networks, we are available: Netflix, Hulu. For streaming.
And this is about 5 minutes long or so you've got the whole
That's right.
setup
You'll
there.
get the whole pitch.
So,
but then after that, I'm a huge Rush fan. I'd say that Rush.
Right. Which another thing I learned, I had no idea. Of course, you're a big football fan. You're a Rush fan. You're a Halloween fan. You are a pumpkin spice latte fan. So, wow, the list grows.
Rush was one of the greatest bands. It was interesting because, in the old days of CanCon, for those of you who worked in radio like you and I did, it was very CanCon, Canadian content. So they were one of the bands that was played on a regular basis, like Loverboy and Kim Mitchell. And
Gino Vanelli and all kinds of people. Yep.
And that song that I hate, Seasons in the Sun, I can't remember who sang that.
That was huge. Well, I'm seasons in the sun. Yes, I forget its name though.
Yeah.
That was enormous.
I love Rush. Tightest band ever. 3 band members. Of course, the incredible Geddy Lee, great vocals. And of course, their wonderful guitarist and the irreproachable Neil Peart, who we sadly lost several years ago.
But they're talking about going back on tour. I think they've got someone to step in for.
From Sweden, a woman drummer, but they were the tightest band.
A woman drummer. Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
And just an incredible band. I saw them live so many times, but incredibly tight. Alex Lifeson, amazing guitarist, but Neil Peart is like right up there. One of the best drummers for me. Stuart Copeland from the Police. I'm a huge fan. But Neil Peart, if you were to watch him doing a drum solo, it was absolutely incredible. So anyway, I thought that we should have an animated series featuring Rush. And this one, I came up with this, but I of course worked with Giles Sander, who's the animator on the thing that we're about to show, on the demo we're about to show. Phil Hoffman, who worked on a project that we briefly worked on that didn't end out so well. But Phil Hoffman is a very well-known Hollywood production designer. And of course, Peter and Diane. And it's about Rush being time-traveling entities and going to different galaxies and universes and having wonderful adventures. So without further ado...
Wow. Okay.
It's what a girl does in her spare time.
I've skipped ahead a little bit here, but let's see what we have here.
Is actually a rush frequency drive, or RFD. This device, when activated by a very specific
That's you again,
combination
of course.
Music involving drum, bass, and guitar, and then precisely amplified, produces anomalous radio waves across multiple frequencies based on the desired destination, and in conjunction with universal harmonics and bioacoustics, opens the portal to that destination. Little is known of who invented this device or how it came into existence. The only clue is a forgotten painting inside a tomb from ancient Egypt.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's again a whole backstory there. I guess Rush is not necessarily involved.
We tried to pitch to them, but unfortunately, just as we were pitching to them, Neil passed away. But they are going on tour again. So I'm going to be posting that back up on YouTube again. And once again, for those of you watching, Netflix, Hulu, Disney, actually not Disney.
The one person, never mind. The one person production company. Interesting.
No. That is the person who did the animation is a tremendously talented man called Jill Sander, who is Peter's son, and he runs Excalibur Animation, and it is he was actually. Do you remember the cartoon, The Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers from the '60s? It was a counterculture comic book about these dope.
Yes, there was a comic book. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, miscreants, and he actually worked on that series, which became an animated series.
Wow.
But it's a wonderful series, and I always think that you have to keep on trying, and if you can't find work, create something that you can work on.
Bravo. Again, break a leg. This is interesting. And of course, anybody, if you can contact Madame Eramelinda Boquer anytime. Do you have a website still?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Eramelinda Boquer is on LinkedIn. And I'd be thrilled to bits to talk to you, because I think that a Rush animated series is just what the world needs right now.
Well, it could be, the timing could be serendipitous with a new tour coming up and things like that. So it could be something that could develop. I just have a tech note before we wrap up here.
Oh, yes.
You and I are working on Zoom here. I record this on Zoom and put it up on YouTube. I found out this morning that Teams, which is the Zoom, I was going to say equivalent, that a lot of people use, is going to bring in what they call Wi-Fi tracking in December. And that means that employers whose employees use Teams will be able to find out where their employees are when they're connecting to Teams via Wi-Fi. So if you're not in the office as you're supposed to be, they will know that you're in a coffee shop or in an airport lounge someplace. So this is
Big Brother.
Yeah, this is insidious, and Microsoft deserves another slap in the back of the head for this one here too. So be warned. It's not clear if this is going to be on by default, but if you are an IT person or if you use Teams to connect with your employers, have a look at that in the next few weeks, because a lot of this Big Brother crap is creeping into what we do here these days. So nothing going on Big Brother here right now. I've only got the Beatles and Rush on my brain for now.
Oh, speaking of tech, I think you've probably read the articles about all the big tech bros like Mark Zuckerberg, and he's building a bunker. Mm-hmm. He's building that movie 2012 where all the rich people get together?
Oh, yeah, they're all prepping, these people. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like, what do they know?
And if you want to read something about one of these weirdos, Peter Thiel, Thiel, a big Trump donor and multi-billionaire, he's gone off the deep end too. So he's off about all things to do with Satanism and Nazism and everything else. And these are big movers and shakers, big money. Never mind Elon Musk and all the rest of them. Musk having just launched Grokopedia, I think, is it what he's calling it? An alternative, a true, of course, everything to do with the right wing is always their truth being picked up now. So, okay. So they're using AI. They've, from what I understand, have copied a lot of Wikipedia material into their thing, but they're giving it a right-wing, fascist, let's be straight about it, spin. So aren't we in for some good times to come?
You mentioned this fellow again, the one that's very, is he into Nazism and Satanism, or is he?
You'll have to. I was reading a piece in The Guardian recently. Peter Thiel, okay. Thiel. I'm sure you can look him up and find a copy on him elsewhere too. He was out giving lectures about it's all quite nihilist, and it's end of times, and it's a disturbing period in our history. I'm speaking about more or less about the United States here, but it's there are some disturbing things going on. So, on that note,
shall we talk about Halloween stuff happening tonight in Montreal? I only want to talk about.
Okay, let's close on that.
It was something positive. I'm just gonna go there. This is I can't. This is from Pulp Montreal, but there's an event. Oh shoot, that one passed already. That was too bad. Sorry. It was called The Devil Wears Pasties. It was a it was a celebration. It was a night of burlesque and pole dancing. But unfortunately, that was done. Yeah. But there are if you check, there are Halloween parties all over town. Mm-hmm. There is it's Halloween. Club DD's Halloween Week, the newest nightclub on Saint Laurent Boulevard. It is an LBTQ21A+, so they've added extra spot in the old dog space, the old Blue Dog space, which is a pub. And
Blue Dog, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they have all sorts of fun, including a contest. It's called Drag Me to Hell, an inspired drag show. And an afternoon dance party on the Day of the Dead, which is November the 1st, which should be an awful lot of fun. And, of course, for fans of the epic Rocky Horror Picture Show, they're having a Halloween ball.
50 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's being screened at the DeCarry Theater. October the 31st, that's today, and November 1st, and that's at 7 p.m., 11 p.m., and it's an interactive experience, and there'll be a shadow cast performing on stage while the film plays on screen. They do ask you, though, unlike at the movies where people throw toast and other things at the screen, that you are not allowed to throw anything at the performance.
Okay.
But that's at the DeCarry. Théâtre DeCarry.
All right, so Drag Me Off to Hell is my favorite title for today. Drag Me Off to Hell. Too.
And by the way, the only time I ever won a costume contest when I was living in Ottawa.
Oh, wait a minute! I've seen you dressed as a Klingon. That image just came back to my brain.
Gosh, I was.
How many years ago was that?
Well, that was when I was a member of MONSFA, the Montreal Science Fiction Association. That was long before the big success.
So I was out shooting. I was out shooting a TV piece, and then somebody comes up. I don't think you and I had not seen each other in several years at that point, I think. So this person comes up to me and starts looking at me, and I'm there either interviewing someone or I'm getting ready to do a shot or something, and I keep looking. I know that face somewhere behind that makeup, and it was Eramelinda Boquer, dressed and made up to the T's as a Klingon. It was a Klingon, right?
Yep, absolutely.
You were okay. Just outstanding makeup. My goodness gracious.
That was a friend of mine who was a film makeup artist, but I was a member of the Montreal Montreal Science Fiction Association, and they did a great job. They would bring in people like Mark Leonard, who played Sarek, Robin Curtis, who before Cheers played one of Spock's paramours. I met Gene Roddenberry's wife. At that event, though, Mark Leonard, who played both Sarek, who was Spock's father, and a Vulcan ambassador and a Klingon, he was a Shakespearean trained actor. They were giving him a Lifetime Achievement Award, and I gave it to him, and he asked them if he could keep me instead. I was so...
Great times. All right. Have a good Samhain, my dear. And
I thought I heard something. Anyway, that was just...
It's all right. It was just the goblins are creeping up on you. Okay. Have fun. Have fun today.
All right, and we'll see everybody next week. And Yvan...
Ciao. Bye.